named Mariner and Viking, and these two missions need to have their stories told too, as we also have here. What an extraordinary breakthrough in human exploration! Even now, despite the decades of subsequent missions with their ever more refined results, the story of these two landmark missions needs to be recalled and examined for what they can still teach us. Then, in the 45 years since Viking, beginning with the little landers of the late 1990s, we have seen a large number of extremely successful missions to Mars, both in orbit and on the surface. There have been so many of them that it's easy for casual observers to lose track, and also perhaps not everyone has kept up with the latest results. Here, too, this book serves as a great guide. Even as we stand on the brink of yet more amazing exploration, these great expeditions need to be sorted out and the results explained. It's wonderful to have that. Important also is the inclusion of the stories of the missions that failed. One thing this book makes clear is that landing on Mars is a very difficult engineering and aeronautical feat. It doesn't always happen. Not even close. Even in recent years, failures are not uncommon. I was in the Pasadena Convention Center with a huge group gathered by the Planetary Society to celebrate the arrival of the Mars Polar Lander at Planum Australis in 1999. The time of the landing passed. No message came. On that went. Finally, it was clear the mission had somehow failed. Because this was early on in the post-Viking era, and many young scientists had had no new data to study for their entire careers, I have seldom seen a more dispirited group of planetologists. The rest of us tried to cheer them up, but there was little that could be said. It would be necessary to try again. And so they did try again, and some successes followed. But the landing problem is severe, and the one thing this book reminds us of is the comically elaborate, or even ludicrously simple, methods that the engineers have come up with to finesse this problem. All the easy talk that one hears of landing people on Mars in the near future needs to take on this information, and to take the problem seriously. It's not going to be easy. Meanwhile, we have our superb robot explorers. I want to end by emphasizing how wonderful the work of the Mars scientific and engineering community has been. People tend to obsess about the human as the only thing that matters, as if our physical presence on Mars is what is really important, even though no one expects to be one of those people. Ironically, it's one of the many ways we exist in ideas more than we do in spaces. To think that the idea of being there in person is more important than actually learning the place by way of our instruments. For me, having spent my own career as a Martian poring over the Viking photos, these new photos from the most recent expeditions are simply stunning. So detailed, fine-grained, colorful, informative. It's like looking out a window at the Martian landscape, and, given the realities of the Martian atmosphere and surface, looking out a window, even if only the faceplate of a spacesuit, is all we're ever going to be doing. Until, of course, the terraforming is complete, some thousands of years from now. So, I say this. We are already on Mars, and it's fantastic. Astronauts actually on the ground there will be very exciting, and yet they won't change the nature of our engagement with the place all that much, for those of us still on Earth. Because of the Martian community, we are really already there. And that's something to celebrate, and tell the story of in detail, so that we really get it. Especially in this era of climate change, comparative planetology is a very important analytic tool for our civilization. And as Mars is the planet most like Earth, by a long shot, studying Mars becomes useful to us, as well as beautiful. In that ongoing study, this book takes its part with distinction and flair. My thanks for it, and congratulations to the authors. Kim Stanley Robinson, Davis, California, September 2020. Preface. The fascination with Mars for both of us goes back a long way. One of us, Bill Sheehan, grew up in the early space age and first observed Mars as a 10-year-old with a 60mm refractor at the opposition of March 1965, the last of the pre-spacecraft era, when it was still just